What's up, Outlaw? Sorry, I was gonna hold an episode about educating people as to the history of the concept of whiteness, but there's so much opposition on TikTok today that I just needed to have a space where people could just be people for a while. Yeah, there was so much opposition on TikTok today that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it today. What's up, Uncle Buddy? Hey T, how's it going? Good morning, Native. I didn't realize you were in Wales. Hey, everybody, come on in. What's up, Christian? So much opposition on TikTok today. So much opposition. Can't do it. Not today. If people want to have an educational discussion, we totally can, but I just need a space that people aren't chomping at each other's throats. Hey Kirby, how you doing? Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh, thanks for the likes. What's up, Unicorn? How's it going? Love your name. Dinkelberg. Get up here, Dink. There's so many ops on TikTok today. Howdy doody. Come on up, Dink. I just have to take a break from the opposition. Everywhere I look, last few days, it's just been ops left and right. Hey, bud.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh my god, this is so nerve-wracking.
What?
I'm live right now.
Oh, you'll be fine.
I'm scared.
It's okay. We're having zero opposition today. Like the last
I
like
ha-
3 or 4 days, every time I get on TikTok, it's been nothing but ops, people yelling at each other, chomping at each other's throats and shit.
well, do you want to hear the craziest shit that just happened?
Please.
Keep the finger over the kick button because I'm gonna do my best to watch my language, but I don't want to harm the live.
And no worries.
So we were just in the Discord, hanging out, playing Pictionary. Have you guys seen Abs in there? Abby?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were hanging out and she talked about Bible study and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she kept talking about Christianity and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I'm not, I'm not hating against anybody who's a Christian, but I was like, who
Yeah.
did, just by chance, because I didn't ask previous to her getting into the server. I said, who'd you vote for? She said, Trump.
Oh my god.
She's already gone, don't worry.
What?
That's what I said. How did she sneak in?
How do you end up in a place designated for fighting fascism?
She didn't know what fascism was.
Wow. 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 Okay.
The more you
How
know.
how old was Abby?
22.
Jesus fucking Christ. How?
Raised in a conservative household.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, and she kept saying, "Wait, I was trying to like get her to open her eyeballs, and I was like, God, I really don't want to say anything that's going to damage the live." I asked her
No, you're good.
what her views on yeeting the zygotes are,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for me, but as long as people aren't like using it like frivolously." And I was like, well, how do you feel about like, a certain situation of somebody being underaged and X, Y, and Z happening, and now we have the situation we have to take care of. She's like, oh, well, I had one of those when I was 16. And I'm like, how did you vote against your own, like your own privileges? Like, how are you so dense?
Yeah. So he said it before in his first run that he loves the poorly educated.
God, he fucking does, doesn't he?
He really, really does.
Good God.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's one thing that you want to carry on into the world after the system falls?
Oh, good God. I wasn't even prepared for the question. Oh, God, Adriana's here.
Hey, how you doing, Dinkle?
Hi.
Sorry, I'm just was making food.
You're good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby.
Could be worse. Could be worse.
Did you hear, Loon? Did you hear what happened?
No, I didn't. Sorry, I had the volume.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell her the whole story at a later date.
Yeah. a
Don't worry, I'm
maggot
not
made its
nosy
way
like
into
that.
a maggot made its way into the Pookie chat.
Yeah, we had a security breach.
Oh, ew. Who was it?
I don't want to name drop because we're live. But yeah, they're already gone.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
but
If you're curious, you can go into the welcome channel and it'll say so and so has left us. She immediately left the TikTok app.
Yeah. Holy crap. So if you'd like, I can pass over a litmus test that I put together. That's just like basic standard questions about everyday life, and it's geared towards figuring out whether or not somebody is a fascistu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to start doing more interviews.
Too. Well, there's so the cool thing is Discord's got this like a sorting bot, right? And they got one that's like an AI sorting bot, and you can put your questions into it, and it'll just pose the questions to the person as they're coming in and determine where they belong or if they belong in the chat at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I still haven't implemented mine. Like, I keep trying to like put stuff into my Discord for like helping sort people through, and I end up just doing it all myself. Oh, I don't know why I suggested it. I don't even use it my fucking self. The ice cream social, or the ice cream socialist. What's up? I love that name.
Oh, Mo is here?
Oh,
Oh, goodness
ice,
gravy.
ice
Oh,
cream
see, I
socialist.
never, I never, I never go live. So the fact that I'm like even as a guest on a live stream right now, everybody that follows me is gonna see this.
Cool. Bring them on through. I'd like to see what people want to bring into the world after the system falls, because you know it's gonna.
I'm curious as well because I haven't thought that far ahead.
I think it's good for us to do so. It helps us hold on to hope for the future.
I had a conversation with my mom the other day because she voted for Trump the first election and did not vote for him this time because she was awakened to what was happening. And she's
Yeah.
like trying to she's like, aren't you scared? Aren't you concerned? Like, aren't you worried? I was like, Mom, if they come for me, I'm not gonna make it to the second
Yeah.
location.
Yeah.
I'm fighting tooth and nail.
Yeah. There will definitely be no secondary location in our future. Oh. At least not if I have anything to do with it. Fuck no. You ain't getting me into some fucking airplane to Ecuador or fucking Venezuela or wherever they want to send you.
You
Not
feel me?
happening. I enjoy not being in a box. I enjoy not being in a box or in a meat grinder. So,
Yeah, or a cage or an oven.
yeah. No salty showers. But yeah. Adriana, you can come up if you want. Are you even still here? Is that just your name lingering around? It's just your name lingering around. Ooh, Joker's around. I'm going to send this out to a couple of my friends as well. Yeah, two seeds. Come on up, buddy. What's up, Puddin'? You can come up if you want. Too many ops today, man. Too many ops today. I was gonna have a whole episode just educating folks on stuff, but I could not handle the amount of opposition I saw coming through everybody's lives. Oh, apparently I have to do that and re-invite seeds. Come on up, buddy. It's not doing it? Huh. Hold on. I'm gonna remove the invite. Hit the request, buddy. Yeah, it's been weird. Like, a lot of people aren't getting the notifications when I go live too. Like, one of my friends out in Australia, goes by Thin King. He doesn't get any of the notifications. I'm not seeing your request. Luna, you seeing his request?
No, there's no request.
What the fuck? You see what I mean, Dink? Shit's been going weird.
Here, Seeds, I
Hey,
tried
back.
to invite you. Let me
Yeah,
know.
back out and come back in. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's working fine for me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really strange. I think I've got this like whole theory about outspoken activists and stuff like that, and how the algorithm is doing its treatment. Because I've seen a lot of folks, a lot of like my dear friends who are very outspoken and very active, just like going dark and silent. But according to them, they're on all the time, but you can never see them online. You know, and like I had my run-in with a specific online presence that just so happens to be an ultra wealthy billionaire in a very powerful position. And he got my account banned for like almost a month. There you are. There you are, buddy. Hey, bud.
What's that?
There you are.
I went into a live that I haven't been in before. I've been in the comments. I sometimes I'll just hear the host and kind of gauge what the host is on. And if they're
Mhm.
not a host that really is like trying to do anything, I won't follow them, even though they have a bunch of people in there. And I'll go in there and kind of speak and try to get. But I went this one and I did follow them back. But when I went in there, I had when I came out, I had 19 people following me. One time when I came out of a Mr. Jones live, I had 112 new followers from being in his live and
Wow.
speaking on his panel for about, yeah, I know, for speaking on his panel. And anytime I go into Mr. Jones live, I get more than 40 people easy there when I come out. So I just went into live and I came out and I had 19 new followers from speaking in that live. And so the reason why I wanted to get up on your panel so much in a hurry is because hopefully those people, because the live I was on actually went its full course and ended with 100 and something people in it, and me coming out with
Wow.
19 new followers, I was hoping that a lot of those followers would follow me over here. But this is just another way we can see that they are suppressing, because I know that those people, the people in that room were literally chanting my name by the time I left. They were like chanting my name when by the time I left. And there's no way that at least 3 of those people wouldn't be here right now. 3.
Yeah.
I'm being generous. I mean, I'm lowballing it. It should be at least 3 people. That's how I know that we are. But they have to. We should feel a great deal of honor, and that we are doing our job with the amount of suppression that they are leveraging against us. And I use all of those last words deliberately. Leveraging against us.
Hey, Frank followed you over. Come on up, Frank.
Dude, you were
That's
spitting
that part.
in that last live, man. Oh my
Thank you.
God.
Thank you.
Shutting down all the bullshit points. You know, they were trying to play mind games and throw dog whistles and shit. Oh my God, you
You
shut
already
down
know,
every
bro.
week
That's why I said I
argument.
do this.
You know,
Like
This
they
is
had
what
no
I do,
rebuttal, but
and this
just
is
little childish bullshit banter.
that's what happens when you boil them down to
man,
the
and
bare
that
bones bullshit that they are.
boil them down quick. And there's a at this point I have a formula for it, because I can tell what they are deliberately missing. After I speak to get on a panel, first I read the room, but once I'm on a panel, it only takes me about 8 seconds, or to hear everybody speak for about 8 seconds, before I know where they're at. Are they here equitably and they're a solutions focused activist and this is what they do? Are they somebody who is interested because they know it affects them and they genuinely want to have discourse or discussion about it? Are they somebody who literally neutrally doesn't care, this is kind of just entertainment for them? Or are they an active fucking troll? Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, are they agents of fucking chaos? People who literally work for the United States government and get paid to get on here and derail us, shut us down, get our lives taken
Keep us
down by
infighting.
saying words they're not supposed to say over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
All that shit. And that, so it's easy. When you know somebody's agenda, everything else that they're going to say is irrelevant. I know your agenda, buddy. I know your end game. You
Man,
can tell
what
me
do
the
you
sky's
what do
blue,
you think about
but I know
Kara?
that you are saying it's turquoise.
What do you think about
I
Kara?
actually was going to follow her back, and I honestly think she's just old.
Yeah,
She's
and
just
maybe she got a
old.
little bit of wine too. You can hear it in her voice.
Well, and she was already emotional. I don't know if it was the wine or emotionality. I mean, she's at a comfort of her own home. She should be able to have her little wine, but don't bring that shit on here. I don't understand America's. Excuse me. Let me stop saying I don't understand. I don't condone Americans' use of their emotions and feelings and opinions. None of the shit that we are ever talking about has anything to do with that, unless we're talking about them. So we're talking about the shape of the earth, no feelings necessary. We're talking about unhoused community, no feelings necessary. We're talking about drug addiction, substances, F1, no opinions and feelings necessary, especially if we're talking about solutions to these things. And the American has been so conditioned into subjectivity that that's the only way that they can analyze information. There used to be a method of truth discovery, a method of data analysis called the trivium. It was called grammar, logic, and rhetoric, or today we call it input, processing, output. There's an entire this is an entire discipline. This ain't just a skill. This isn't just a concept. This is an entire discipline to be able to utilize this properly. And they took it out of the United States schools in like the early 20s or something like that, because they knew that the scientific method is almost irrelevant without the trivium. The trivium helps you categorize data for the process of the scientific method. And so the American has been denied the ability to utilize objectivity or to analyze information objectively. Their opinion, their perspective, and their belief, like this country itself, is the only thing that upholds their worldview. And Kara is a victim of this as well. She literally is just old, and it's, but the whole thing is when we say, you got to use words like unalive, you got to use, you got to use TikTok friendly language, and they still don't. That's when we accuse them of being an agent. I don't think Kara's an agent. I just don't think everybody's that damn intelligent. I think the average American is below the belowest of the below average intelligence of any time in history.
We're ranked 42nd in education now, I believe. But that was a couple years ago.
No, I know. But if you looked at the whole world and ranked us against the world, or not even us, the Americans, because I don't even identify with that shit. But if you rank Americans historically, like not just everybody on Earth now, but everybody on Earth now versus all of the forms of enlightenment and education and indigenous upholdings of knowledge that the world has seen, we're the dumbest motherfuckers that ever existed. And that's before you quantify or bell curve the fact that we supposedly have better technology to analyze and obtain data. We didn't even factor that in. It's almost like talking about, capitalism, and then you talk about fucking interest. Like, we haven't even gotten to interest yet, and you're already mortified. Wait till we talk about interest.
Hey, Julie.
Like,
hey, I got a question for you, Frank. Hey, so what's one thing that you want to carry on into the world after the system falls?
Could you go more in depth about that? It's kind of hard to just pick one thing.
Just something that you hope to carry on, whether it be a tradition or your favorite moment, or your favorite, just something that's going to bring you comfort. Something that's going to bring you comfort that you'd like to share with the world after everything falls.
I would say probably my morals, or not necessarily Christianity to a sense, but religion, because I feel like religion does keep us grounded. But some people don't take religion with a grain of salt. They follow it like a rule book, like they do it exactly to where it affects their decision making. Like, what is the Bible verse? Like, don't dish out whatever, or turn the other cheek, or something like that, or whatever. I believe that's like situational, but something along the lines of like religion and just morals.
So let me ask you a question. Do you know, and this is not me being, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're on it, bud. Go ahead.
Yep. Listen.
I was just going to ask the question. Do you know what the definition in Latin for the word religion from the people who made the word religion?
I do not.
It means, it comes from religare, which means to tie back or to thwart from forward progress. And the problem isn't what you're talking about is, let me ask you a different question. What do you think is more important, a connection with the source of creation or the institutions that encapsulate that concept?
Oh, yeah. I'm totally against, the body of church, because, their decisions regarding, they'll do heinous acts and claim it's in the name of God, et cetera, et cetera. I'm more so talking about the community, not the institution. I don't really like the institution of church. I'm talking about the community.
I figured, and I wanted to ask that because literally that is how I analyze someone's ability to interact on other topics. But I do have a question for Sludge.
What's up, buddy?
No, go ahead. Finish. Hold on. Let Frank go ahead. Say what you're going to say, because I'm not going to forget it. Go ahead.
Religion being created to, kind of like what you said, the connection to the source, immediately versus the institution being that barrier between the connection to the source. I've heard, just like you said, religion's meant to hold us back and thwart us. I've heard things about that, but I'm not really too extremely like educated on that. I didn't really take the time to research that.
Oh, you came to the right spot.
Oh shoot, lay some knowledge on me.
My
Man.
website
I'm all
and
ears.
these. Well, and that's the whole thing because religion is a specific thing. It's an interpretation. Ultimately, religion is an interpretation, and that is bullshit. Like, don't give me no interpretation. I don't want your interpretation of the Carmelo situation. I don't want your interpretation of the law. I want the actual facts. And not only that, but religion literally has detached people's ability to engage spirituality for those who fall victim to that. And I'm not going to hold it against anybody because there's spiritual people and have no idea what spirituality is. There's people who are religion. Do you know what the purpose of spirituality is or religion? In its pure context, if religion was what it was supposed to be, the sole purpose of spirituality, purpose of spirituality and the sole purpose of so-called religion, if it was in its proper context, because religion can also mean to tie back to, like you said, grounded. It means to tie back from forward progress or to tie back to. So you lost something and now you're tying yourself back to it. But the purpose of these things is the liberation of humanity as a societal group and as individuals, meaning you can express your highest self without arbitrary dictates monopolizing so-called morality and arbitrarily through violence demanding that you behave or not behave in a certain way when those behaviors do not cause any harm to anyone. So the purpose of spirituality is for us to create and generate such a world through equity, through efficiency, and through objectivity that everyone is able to express them highest self in any way, shape, or form they so choose, so long as that doing that doesn't infringe on anyone else's right to do the same. That's the purpose of spirituality. That is the purpose of religion. If those concepts are not doing their jobs in circles or groups or within an individual, the people are bastardizing those concepts because that's what the whole totality of it is. That's the only thing going on here because of polarity. The universe is based on polarity. That's a law. So if you're going to have freedom, of course you're going to have slavery. So it's our job to balance out the poles. Religion and spirituality are only tools, and the job is creating and generating equity and sustainability and abundance. If your things aren't doing that, then they're not doing their job. And so that's the only thing I would say to so-called religion and even so-called spirituality.
Yeah, I would say I'm more invested in spirituality than the actual religion.
Yeah, spirituality and belief are supposed to be intrinsically personal. They're supposed to be something that is yours and yours alone, not something that you're supposed to inflict on other people. You know, you can have your commonalities, you can have your similarities, you can have the things that you share with each other. But the moment you start using it as an index as to what you think society is supposed to look like or what, civilization is supposed to look like, you have officially tainted your belief and your spirituality and turned it in the exact opposite direction it was supposed to go in the first place.
Yeah, I don't agree with today's religion and how it's being run. There's a lot of corruption even in churches, wherever. But I was gonna refer or compare like Islam and Christianity. Like Islam seems like more pure. You don't hear as much things happening in the Islamic State, I guess, but they also have their own problems with how they treat women and other things. So I guess each religion does have their shortfall.
Well, it all stems from the cult of Abraham. I'm certain if you've read the book, you've heard of Abraham.
Yeah, of course.
The angels told him to kill his son, circumcise his son, or whatever. So the cult of Abraham is what started Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? And they took what was a spiritual belief amongst their tribes and turned it into structures of oppression to subjugate the people and gain control over their society.
Why isn't this okay? I see why they don't talk about this, because it flipped the tables.
Yeah. Yes, it's
blow your mind even more, Frank.
Essentially.
Go ahead, Seeds.
Oh, it's worse than you think, Frank. It's worse than you think, because the claim that these people are making is anti-God. See, God laid down the so-called God. I call it Source. Source laid down the laws, and these people fucking know it. You know how I know they know it? Because they call things that aren't laws, they call them ordinances, they call them revised statutes, they call them statutes, they call them codes. But they don't call them laws, because laws require a victim. Laws are eternal and they are binding. It means you don't have a choice. This affects you anyway, no matter what.
Right.
Even if there's no court, no system, this is going to affect you. This literally is inherent to how the nature of cause and effects works. What happens if somebody lies to you? What's the first thing that happens? Right. What happens when somebody lies to you?
I don't know. I question.
Don't worry, it's not a trick question.
Yeah, I mean,
you question it. You don't trust them anymore. You don't take their word as inherent anymore. That's a natural consequence. All of the answers will be a natural consequence of lying, and lying is an inherent immorality, because it's theft. It's theft of relevant data that affects the person you're lying to. It's theft of opportunities because they can make other choices. It also can send you into the fight or flight mode, because you literally you're stolen from. Now you're sitting there in disarray, like, I just spent 10 years with a person who's been cheating on me the entire 10 years.
Oh, man,
I could have made other choices. My life is gone. Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. The functionality of how bad this is that the mechanisms for society that we use are a religion. Let me say that to you in a different way. The concept of the United States government, the concept of countries, the concept of government, the concept of authority vested in strangers they have zero scientific evidence to support their legitimacy. Therefore, they are religious beliefs that persist only because most people have been indoctrinated to believe them. There's a book available on my website, and there's a video for it, which is basically a summary available on my website, it's a 12-minute video. It's called The Most Dangerous Superstition. And the most dangerous superstition, the most dangerous religion on earth, is the one that nobody thinks is a religion. And that religion is called authority. Whether it's the authority of the church, the authority of the state, the authority of a bully, it is something that can remove your consent, presumably, and you have no choice but to obey it, even though it doesn't have any scientific evidence as to why. It just claims that everybody else is doing it, so you have to too.
Right.
So I'm not worried about Islam. They treat women poorly, but not as bad as statism, the belief in government. I'm not worried about Christianity. They treat everybody bad, but not as bad as statism, government. I'm not worried about Jewish people, because the actual religion that is harming everyone, that ties in the belief in money, the belief in borders, and all of these things, and is the thing that is the foundational source of all of our problems, every single last problem. I don't give a fuck with substance abuse or unhousedness, is a direct result of us basing our objective civilization on subjective opinions, all while needing resources from from an objective and finite environment.
Right.
So, like, I'm not concerned with the popular religions. I'm concerned with the idea that religion can and should rule anything. And I don't care what that religious belief is. I don't give a fuck if you want to impose the idea that SpongeBob isn't the best character on SpongeBob's show, but in fact it's Patrick. And that's fine. You
Right.
believe that. But for you to want to impose that upon me at threat of violence, now we have a fucking problem.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just like Sludge said.
Yeah, no.
And then I had two things. I wanted to know Sludge's answer to the question he asked you, and then I want to answer it.
The thing that I want to carry on into
Sludge?
the world after this system falls is basic human decency.
I feel kind of stupid for even asking that. I mean, it's good that I wanted to know and everybody else can hear it, but I think I should already knew that. I mean, not even that I should have already knew that I did know that.
Yeah.
You know what I want to
just
bring?
want
You know what I
people to treat
want
each other
to
well.
pass into the future, and it's so sounds like an easy task. Sounds like you know what I want. You know what I want to pass. Sounds like an easy task. You know what I want to pass on. And it's ironic because we were just talking about religion, and what I'm about to say is completely from a non-religious context, but proves everything I just said, or not proves, but articulates it. The Ten Commandments by Cecil B. DeMille. I've mentioned it many times. This movie starts with Cecil B. DeMille coming out on stage and actually doing an introduction to the movie, and he says one thing. And this movie was made in 1956, and he said, "This presentation," and I'm quoting this verbatim, by the way. He said, because I've watched this movie about 2,000 times. He said, "This presentation will address the question: are men to be ruled by God's law or by the whims of other men? It is the same question that is being posed right now, everywhere on earth."
I don't think
I like
men
that.
should rule anything. 'Cause, I mean, just look at the world. You know, the world's in disarray right now. Just look at the country right now. The racial tension. Just a lot of negative things to come from these men ruling it. These men.
Do you know
don't
what the source is?
Walk in the light of God or whatever. They're corrupted.
Do you know what the source is? The source of it is worse than that, because not only do they not walk in the light of God, because what you call God is simply truth.
Yep.
The word God and the word truth can be seen as synonyms. The problem is the dogma that people put behind that. Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. Gays this, can't beat your meat, nothing. You're going to hell. All that shit is the problem, because it has nothing to do with source. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with truth.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in. The problem is all that heinous shit that's going on in the world, and the shit you were just mentioning, is a result of basing reality on your feelings. And that is Western. That is the real problem here. That's Karen's problem, and that lady that was in the other live, centering herself, basing all of her views on the topic from her subjective emotional perspective, and her opinions, rather than the evidence. That is everybody's problem here. And to the degree that a person does that is to the degree that they are indoctrinated, to the degree that they are brainwashed, to the degree that they are groomed, and to the degree that they are a willfully bad person. That's what makes a bad person, because that's what makes a person disregard someone else's emotions. My emotions say that I cheated on you and you're mad about that, but I'm not mad that I cheated on you. I'm mad that you're mad that I cheated on you.
Narcissism. Yep.
This whole society is narcissism. That's why people are mad about being called racist, or they're mad about people talking about racism, as opposed to being mad at the racism itself. It's because they're not looking at it objectively.
I feel
There's
like
no such thing as white guilt if you're looking at racism objectively. There's no such thing as man guilt if you're looking at sexism objectively. Go ahead.
But the question is, what would I like to bring with me after the system falls? But I'm gonna reverse it and say what I don't want to bring with me when the system falls, which is the internet. I like the information, but the socialization on the internet is not really, I feel like, advancing us as a society. I feel like with the internet, it's only promoting degeneracy.
I get that. However, the problem here is the same problem as anything else. So there's a thing called a hammer and there's a thing called a screwdriver, and neither of those things were made to harm someone, to
Right.
use in a way that could harm someone intentionally. And yet every day somebody's getting impaled with one of them motherfuckers. So don't blame a tool for what the wielder does. This is why I've never been anti pew pew, because I'm not going to sit here and blame an inanimate object for what human beings choose to do with it.
Yeah.
So the idea that the internet, yeah, in the wrong hands, the internet's trash. In the right hands, look what I've been able to do with it. I have a whole website. I've been able to inform thousands of people as to the opposite. I even asked one of my homeboys who's involved in some really dark, deep level shit, why did they, quote unquote, they, a specific they, allow the internet to even come out? And his answer was greed. They knew they'd make a lot of money off of it. Other than that, everything else that happened with the internet is a complete fucking accident,
Yeah.
a fluke. We just us doing what humans do, but that's why they allow it. But it's not that I disagree with you. I understand what you're saying. I just wouldn't make the same decision or the same option for things that I wouldn't want to bring with me,
Right.
because the internet,
It's a great
a
tool.
humanity bath, and I'm going to use present right, and I'm going to use present day humanity as the example here. Present day humanity is not in a position to utilize any tool correctly.
Hmm.
So the internet is in a better world is simply like, we still call these things phones. They are not by any stretch of the imagination phones. They're not smartphones. They're not cell phones. They are literally communication devices and information dissemination devices. That's what they are. And people can come up with another word for it later. But we're thinking, because each generation thinks within the terms of its generation. Most people are shaped by their society. They're not free thinkers necessarily. They think they are, but they're not. So we when we're born, our kids start saying, "Oh, cell phone, smartphone, smartphone." But the reality is, what these things have evolved into, it's like calling a fucking a chimpanzee a human. They're not the same thing. It has evolved into something else,
Right.
and that thing is a great tool, and we shouldn't blame the tool, even though,
A hammer in the
like
hands of
I
a
would say, I wouldn't
carpenter
want to bring
makes beautiful things. A hammer in the
right.
hand of a psychopath makes destruction.
Right.
Right. I would not want to bring pew pews into the future, if that was possible, because that its inherent duty, its inherent use, its inherent utilitarian value is completely for ending life. Doesn't even have to be human life. You don't chop wood down with it. You know, you don't build a house with it. It's so I even
I've
wrote,
seen
and
people do it.
like, if you look at some of my articles, I wrote an article about supremacy, and I said I said a pew pew is moral because it's an inanimate object. It has no inherent morality at all. And the user is what gives it its morality. I said a boom boom could never be moral because its development, its production, it's based in politics. It's based in not colonialism, but what's the word when people
Imperialism.
colonization? There's the word. It's based in imperialism. It's based in acquisition of land. It's not based in self-defense or communal defense. The production of a bomb could never be moral because it's based in
F1 in the
politics,
chat.
not self-defense.
Right.
Oh, sorry, F1. I'm gonna do that too. And so, but a pew pew can be developed for just self-defense. And so that is how it boils down. But I understand and I agree that it's problematic, but that goes back to everything else that's problematic. I don't think that a society is a tool. What is that tool for? The same thing I said earlier, which is the liberation and the expression of sentient beings and the beings in the environment, sustainability, abundance, etc. So if that's the tool's job and it's not doing it, society is just as dangerous as the internet, because society is the motherfucker who uses the internet.
Yeah.
So if we shouldn't have internet, we damn sure shouldn't have a thing called society.
So really quick before we continue on, I want to ask everybody else in the room really quick. Peaceful, what is one thing that you want to carry on into the world after this system falls?
Community.
Love
Just
that answer.
yeah, that's it. I think it's the most important thing for us right now, because regardless of anything else that's going on, that's where we can start, and that's what we have, regardless of who the authority is. Like, that's what's really gonna matter.
It really is. It really is. Thank you. What about you, Loon?
Hi, everybody, by the way.
Hi. What about you, Loon? What's one thing you want to carry on into the world after the system falls?
I guess knowledge.
Yeah. I've been
I don't know
thinking a
if we're
lot
gonna have
about.
any books.
Yeah, but I've been thinking a lot about that. So during one of the last great cataclysms, as it could be seen, was the sacking of the Library of Alexandria. And I bring it up because Frank had talked about not wanting the internet to continue on. But I feel like the internet is just an evolution of the Library of Alexandria. It's the culmination of the entirety of the world's knowledge.
Pretty much. At least it can't be burned down again.
I mean, it definitely can. It definitely can. It's all digital. What about you, King? What's one thing you want to
Have you
carry
guys-
on into the world?
My head, in other words, again, knowledge. I might be tempted with some chocolate and coffee, but I suppose I can work, as long as the head is in place, I can work on the rest.
Thank you for your answer, bud. What are you going to say,
I'm
Seeds?
with the chocolate coffee, all about it.
I think I forgot.
Fair enough. Julie says she wants to bring peace, which I think is a glorious goal. I think, we're all fairly
crack some
aware.
eggs, though.
Too good.
Like,
Yeah, we're all fairly aware that it's
man,
going to be
you know
really
what?
tumultuous.
do you know what peace is for me? Peace is truth. There are horrific, about my brother, Sludge, and I know Lou knows about my brother. The only thing that comforts me about that is that I understand every single aspect of it. The socioeconomic aspect, the judicial aspect of it, the medical aspect of it. I understand the reality I'm in. And that's what gives me peace. There is no peace without truth. There's no justice without truth. And people, when you ask people what's the most important thing to them, and I've been saying this for years, and my mentor, Mark Passio, has expressed this as well. When you ask somebody what are the most important values or the most important things to them, almost nobody will say truth because they don't think that such a thing exists. Most people think that truth is subjective. That's what America teaches. That's what the West teaches. So when I am asked, or I have been asked, what's the most important thing to you? Truth is the most important thing to me, because if I say I'm a good father, that don't mean shit if there's no such thing as truth. Oh, well, I take my kids out and I homeschool them and I teach them and I feed them and I love them and I hang out with them and I play with them and I listen to their problems. So what? There's no such thing as truth. Therefore, it's my opinion, my feeling that you're a bad father. Quite to the contrary. You can say you're a hard worker, but if there's no such thing as truth, then it doesn't mean shit. You saying you're a hard worker don't mean shit. So for me to say, I want to produce more equity in the world, well, there has to be a truth to that there isn't enough equity or that there isn't any equity in the world. So that's what identifies or informs how I operate here.
Love that. Yeah, truth is
Addendum
definitely
number
the most
one.
important thing.
Addendum number one, I would add some arts. Good music, by the way.
Thank you. It's a generic TikTok jazz station.
Yeah,
Coming to you
no,
live.
I've discovered it. Whole 2 days since I discovered it.
Nice. It's the only one I can tolerate for long periods of time.
And to kind of piggyback off of what Evolving said, that's one thing I've noticed. A lot of people don't live in reality. I don't know if it's by choice or just willfully ignorant, but a lot of people don't want to accept the truth or
By
a lot of
choice.
what reality is. Accept things for
Escapism is easier.
You know
what
what
they
cognitive
are, how
dissonance,
they
right?
are.
You know what cognitive dissonance is, Frank?
Rise of emoticons.
Not the definition specifically. I don't use that word
The
frequently.
definition of
Cognitive
help me
dissonance.
out. The definition of cognitive dissonance is holding two conflicting ideologies in your mind as true. So, money makes the world go round. Money is also made up by man and clearly doesn't make fucking gravity make the world
Money
go
is the root of
So
all
you
evil.
have this truth in your head.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Money's the root of all evil, but money makes the world go round. That's perfect. That's a way better example. Money makes the world go round, but money's the root of all evil. That's two contradictory things that you hold in your head as true. So you have to because cognitive dissonance is a medical thing. It actually causes, sometimes it can cause nausea. It can cause headaches. It can cause, when people say, you're making me think too much, you're making me have a headache, that's cognitive dissonance happening in real time. And what happens is the person
It's
has
also
to
been
either
known
do
to
one or
cause
two
somebody
things.
to go
They have
insane.
to negate. Sorry. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's America. It's been known to make a country go insane. But what happens is you have the subject has to either reduce the severity of the incoming data, or they have to refute the data altogether, the original data. One of the truths has to be reduced in severity or has to be rejected, or the person has to have a whole ass identity crisis in the moment while you're sitting there. And that's what we usually get. That's what crashing out is.
Society now are just
You disappeared there,
Just
Frank.
like that. Just like that, everyone got muted. Except for me, of course. I strategically pre-mute myself. Anyway, this sounds like a bit of an echo chamber. Why are you repeating
so
my
there's
thoughts
a-
here?
There's a lot of opposition going on the last few days on TikTok, and I cannot sit by and just listen to people yell at each other without having a space for people to connect.
Let emoticons bang their heads against the wall.
That's it.
I don't know.
The problem is they try to bang their heads here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
want to make
agree.
sure that I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to have a space that is just about connecting. That's it.
But I wouldn't worry that much. First,
And I appreciate you, Sludge, because the first thing I do when I get on TikTok is see if you're live. That's the first thing I do.
I appreciate you.
First step to the change is recognizing that there is a need for a change, and emoticons are being stirred up. This is a normal process. They will bang their heads against the wall. Worlds are by rule stronger than their heads and their emotions, and it's just a lesson that periodically apparently has to be learned.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bleeding heart. I would prefer it if humanity had a minimal amount of suffering, and watching people put themselves through the suffering of opposition for the sake of only opposing is, I don't know. I've seen too much of it in my life.
I used to be like you, Sludge, and I envy you for still maintaining that, because aside from kids, I don't give a fuck. I would personally, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I would personally watch 98.5% of the global population burn to ash. Their physical body. I would sit there with popcorn and watch this for the rest of my life. It's all I would do. Because I'm not with
you
this.
You got real and true freedom. No system.
That's how I feel.
No people to spew hate at you. Just peace.
You can lead the horse to the water.
If everybody, I don't.
You can lead the horse to the water, but you will not persuade it that the earth is a globe.
Right.
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to put myself in a position to, hey, that water is hot or that stove is hot, and somebody touches it and burn themselves, and then we write it into law that the stove is hot, and then they touch themselves and burn themselves, and then we have a protest and a rally and a Supreme Court decision about it, and they still want to touch the fucking stove. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. You think that voting for Kamala was going to make the stove not hot? Then great. You think voting for Donald Trump is going to make the stove not hot? Great. Burn yourself.
Two sides of the same coin.
I feel that way at this point, Two Seeds. I'm like, at this point, people should know what's going on. I mean, it's different for people that do not have access to, internet and news and such, because I know that, that's a thing. But for most of us, we know what's going on. At least enough to know that something's not right here, And I mean, if anything, I'm really losing my patience for the other side. It's, I'm like, look, you guys want to burn yourself, fine, but I'm not trying to go down with you,
I've got a
I'm not trying to go down.
Speaking of knowing what's going on, I have a question. I want to pose this to Seeds and Frank, respectively. Have y'all put any time into reading up about the prophecies of Saint Malachi?
I have not.
I have not.
Okay. So he predicted that there would be 112 papacies, or popes, and that the first pope, Pope Peter, would also be the final pope, Pope Peter, and he would die of old age, and then that would be the last true pope of the church, and that the next person to take the place would be known as the Black Priest. Signifying that it's like bringing about the end times or what the fuck ever, whatever religious bullshit. But there's a lot of speculation that he's actually going to be black. And, well, the Pope died yesterday.
I hear that. There's like nothing on it.
He was the 112th.
Because fuck him, that's why. Fuck him 112 times.
So,
but continue, please.
Do you think there's going to be a black pope?
I think that throughout history, there's always been little glimpses into the fabric of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, of course, along with everything else, it is always subject to interpretation.
Right.
And of course, a system built by generally rather pasty people is going to be made nervous by the concept of a rather not pasty person being in control of their belief structure.
Right. Because like
Ooh.
Seed said, it's only there to impose,
Hmm.
and like make laws for people, not to
Yeah.
get us to the truth, So I feel like if someone else was in that position to lead their religion or whatever, we would find the truth.
So, of the 10 people who are in line next for the papacy, there is one black man.
Right. Well,
Fuck them in advance.
Fuck him in advance. Oh, I don't know. I think it's a rather interesting thing to look into, just because it makes the brain, do some cartwheels. But there's a lot of it's really funny because like it was passed off for like the last, I don't know, 80 years or something as being a prophecy of Nostradamus, but it's not a prophecy of Nostradamus at all. It's a prophecy that was made by Saint Malachi, who I think was in the 1100s. I could be wrong about that, but
And I'm all for occult information. That's why I value the
yeah,
information you're telling me. But
you should
when
you
it
should
comes
look
to
into
the
it,
actual
man.
individuals, ooh no.
Yeah, you should look into it about the final pope prophecy from Saint Malachi, dude. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and like it was all, as with everything from like Christianity and whatnot, it was all based around the fall of Rome, like the Holy Roman Empire or whatever. Um, but like as we also know, even though Rome fell in a fucking day, it still exists, you know.
Betsy
And like
says
That's how you
no.
know that. Look,
go ahead.
that's how you know that I'm one crazy motherfucker, Sludge, because I'm going to ask everybody, what's the most important piece of information that we need to ask ourselves now from what the information, the prediction you just told us? I've already identified it. What is the most important question that we have to ask, that I'm going to ask you? And I know you probably don't know the answer now, but relevant to the prediction, this question is invaluable. What is that question?
Is it who cares?
No, I wouldn't do you like that because I actually do care. The most important question is, how old is that black pope? You said he's going to die of old age.
No. The last pope is Pope Peter of Rome, and the person who's going to take
And
his
he's supposed to
seat
unalive
is
in
going to
old
be the
age.
Black Pope. Yeah, the Pope died yesterday.
Which person? Okay, but did he unalive of old age?
Yeah, 88 years old.
So you're talking about the predecessor being the one who.
Yeah.
Okay, so we still have to ask, how old is the black guy in
he's supposed
position
to
to be
be
pope?
he's supposed
Because
to be
whatever.
of a good he's supposed to be of a good and healthy age, like not in his fucking 80s. And the one black man that is in line to be the possible next pope, he's in his like 50s or 60s.
So that it's the whatever's going to happen in pertaining to this prediction would have to happen within the next 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bring him in. Obviously, he will fit very well.
And we would have to start seeing that.
With color coordination of this life, there's a lot of black here.
I don't know how to take that.
Gently.
That was funny. Your laugh was like when they were fighting in Pineapple Express, and he's like, I don't know if I like you. I don't know if I like you either.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed that there is so many non-me individuals around?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Everywhere I look,
that
it's not me,
legal?
but it's also me.
Is that legal?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's not a law for it not to be.
Okay.
I feel like Frank got digitally decapitated.
You
Oh,
there,
I'm on
Frank?
There you go.
I'm on ChatGPT reading up that mount.
That's
Oh
hard.
yeah.
That's hard.
At this point, I have to ask which head was taken off.
Why?
Oh, location.
That's a disturbing question.
Location
You strike.
is wild.
Hey, I'm just about to say thinking is literally the type of person to have a very promising career in comedy, and his comedy is just so like most people don't get it, but people who get it get it.
Yeah, dude.
Oh
my god.
Stand by.
Your humor is the kind of dry that I really like with my wine.
And the accent just seals the deal.
My grandfather used to chuck the long curve balls, when they had the spin. It would be triple spin. You never know which way it's going to go. You had to stop thinking. You had to think for a long time to realize what he said. And then, at best, it was a guess. To the point that when he got dementia and the whole thing went sideways, I couldn't figure it out. Because I still thought he was chucking the long curved ball, spin ball, how you call it.
You said he went from dementia. That's hard.
Yeah. Oh, well, depends. It's all, there's a possibility that whatever reality is in his mind might have been better than what I see around me. It's all self-inflicted, isn't it?
Now we're talking.
I don't know. My sister, before getting arrested and being put in jail for her ex-boyfriend unaliving someone in front of her, she was in long-term dementia care as a caregiver, and it's a lot more reliving memories than it is like reshaping reality around you, because your neurons are firing incorrectly, sparking memories. And the generations before.
Question is which memories will pop up? Nice memories or bad ones? You can be enjoying your private paradise, or you can be enjoying your private hell.
Well,
I honestly
society's been
think that
pretty.
it's structured from.
It's all about perspective. That's why you got to stay
Society's
out
been
the
pretty hell bent around war and subjugation for a long time. So
Because if you can trap somebody's mind here, excuse me, let me rephrase that. You can trap somebody's mind, their consciousness, their connection to source. If you make them think that your subjective imposed reality is objective. The most prolific case of SA is a girl. They found her when she was 13 years old. She couldn't even stand up because her parents kept her in a kennel, in a doggy kennel. And the only time they took her out the kennel is to pass her around with their friends. This little girl had no clue what human life was. Bro, they still study this girl to this day because it's the most prolific case they've ever heard of. They had to convince her that what happened to her was terrible. They had to convince her. They had to teach her that what happened to her was horrible. So when we talk about perspective, if they can trick people, like I actually think that things like dementia, like I don't think our ancestors experienced dementia. I just don't. It just wouldn't make any sense for your brain not even your brain, your mind to sever your connection with you and reality. That doesn't sound conducive to evolution. That doesn't sound conducive to nature. That doesn't sound like something nature does. So it just, I think my personal opinion on it is that will has a lot to do with it. Like, I don't think that you will find too many abolitionists and anarchists with dementia, because largely your dementia. I'm gonna. This is my opinion. I'm not a medical professional who's been versed on dementia, but from what I'm saying with our food, the amount of chemicals that we come in contact with this system has to play a part, because it just doesn't even seem conducive that we would be detached from our mental capacities, our mind like that. That doesn't even sound like an evolutionary tool for survival. Yeah, when you get a certain age, you shouldn't be able to survive anymore. So now we're going to make it harder for you to survive by not even being able to remember where your pew-pew is, where your sword is, where your spear is, etc.
See, that makes perfect sense. Like, I never even, like, that just like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, I never even thought about dementia like that. But, and you wonder, like, how many, because look at how many things that they've used just as warfare, diseases and such. But then you have something like, you're talking about the food and everything. I mean, and that's the stuff that's like, all these things in our food is like causing new problems, that we didn't have before. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Genetically engineered.
That makes perfect sense.
I do.
I want to eat fruit.
It's heartbreaking because our whole, like, there's a thing that used to happen here called humanity and called life. And those things are not conducive to it. It's very obvious. And the enumerated cases that we have nowadays is not an accident. And that's the goal here. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that's the goal here. That's why religion is what it is. That's why government is what it is. That's why society is what it is to sever your individual connection to source, because your individual connection to source, your consciousness is God. Your consciousness is God. And I'm not saying this from an opinion or a religious perspective. I'm talking about from a scientifically quantifiable perspective. If God was source, if God or source was the only thing that existed, then that means that there nothing else exists. Nothing else exists but God. So
Now,
our consciousness is our attachment.
would it be my God or your God?
There's only one God.
No, and the reason for that is because there's only one consciousness. We're sharing a signal, like a radio. Your radio isn't the only one catching 97.5. Everybody's radio catches it, but 98.5 or 97.5 is the objective signal. If you turn your station, if you tune your station, it just doesn't come in everywhere, or you have a shitty radio. But the signal is still the same. The signal is still the same. It's not about whose God it is. It's about what radio station you're on. On this radio station, in this dimension, we have an infinite amount of connection to that source, and it's to the degree that we tune into it. But if we tune into it, that disrupts their ability to coerce us, to exploit us, to profit from us. And on a much more spiritual level and a much deeper occult level, the purpose of any institution, you name the institution, and I will guarantee you that its purpose is to sever your connection from source, because nature is the only institution you need.
Yep.
Period.
I'm with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's the craziest thing is like, so, we're so, as a people, like we are so reliant on all these unnatural things, and it's bothersome because I feel like I don't understand why I feel like I'm the one who sounds crazy when I'm like, oh, well, why can't we just go back to nature and look, this plant is good for this and this is good for that, and we can, you know what I mean? And people look at me like I'm crazy, like out here, like you can't do that, you're still gonna need to go into all the politics and all this other stuff. I'm like, can you just stop for like 5 seconds? Like, just think about what it would be like, just think about it in a community standpoint, like what it would be like, have all of these natural ingredients coming to you and already being like, like humans, I swear, we're the only species on this planet that cannot coexist with the rest of the planet.
Do you know what the two no, you're good. Do you know what the two most unnatural substances that we come in contact with in the Western world, in this colonized planet? It's authority. Well, let me go through the first one. It's litter, trash, waste, and authority. Authority vested in strangers, specifically, not just authority, because natural authority does exist, like parent birth to child, or situational authority. Somebody's been on a job 30 years and it's your first day. But authority vested in strangers, the kind of authority that can revoke your ability to consent to actions that will affect you, that is not only is it unnatural, it's an abomination, because we see that it doesn't have any foundation in nature. The deer doesn't need your permission to fucking jump, and the raccoon doesn't need your permission to cross from Mexico into America. And then litter. Those are the two most unnatural things in existence, as far as when it comes to the functionality of the physical world. Litter is, in my opinion, my observation, litter or waste is actually a physical byproduct of cognitive dissonance or lies.
Wow. That's why I love listening to you, Seeds. Listening for hours. I agree.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
I got you, man.
It's been 41 years, and I've only cared about this though. I feel like reality is a puzzle, and all the pieces are there, and it's up to us to put them together. And all the pieces are there, and it's important. It's not for naught. The fact that Sludge told us a prophecy, and that prophecy was something that was written down hundreds of years ago, and so on and so forth. People think that all of this is for naught, these conversations, and for them it is. Because what matters is what is real. That's why we call it material. 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 It's not just matter, it's matter that is real. So if you're in a space to debate or troll or just be disingenuous, it doesn't matter. But every piece of data matters. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Every piece of information that equals truth, which can be used as wisdom, matters. But if you're not doing it for that purpose, then of course it don't matter. That's
Right.
why I have this information to present. It's because this is all I think about. This is all I've ever thought about. I'm a career activist. I've never tried to hold a 9-to-5 ever. I went to college to prove that college was bullshit, and that's exactly what I did. I had I had two teachers quit because of the information I gave them. I showed one of them the Zeitgeist Addendum, and they quit. And the other one quit because I proved to them that money was based on debt, and they had no idea that was the case, even though they were a business fucking teacher. They were teaching business.
I had a similar experience because I'm 22 right now. I dropped out about 2 years ago, and it's not that I'm unintelligent or anything, but I see school for what it is, and I wrote an essay on why school was a scam. I got an A+ on it and then dropped out. Once I realized I've been carving my own path since, and I love the journey I'm on because I think I'm actually going to be more successful with the path I'm doing right now than if I ever went to school. So, but I hate how they impose education on everyone, like go to school or you'll become a failure, school's the only way, and just like you said, some people are indoctrinated to think, school's the only way in life, and that's how you, like you said, carve your own reality.
I got a question for you, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
What's the metric with which you're measuring success?
It's not wealth or anything. It's your personal happiness. What I think like true success is, your inner peace. That's your success. And if you're working a 9-to-5 you don't like, or doing certain things just to please other people, then I don't believe you're successful. or certain things that people
That seals it in.
told
I'll follow
you, or kind of like what Evolving said, you're getting closer to the truth. Some people have more information about the truth and is more willing, to accept the truth than others. That's what I kind of gauge as success more than, financial stability. I don't think that's true success.
Financials are literally just
Actually followed you.
the collar put around us.
Mm-hmm.
I followed you, Frank, and if you ever want to talk, bro,
I will. I'm very interested. I appreciate it, man. I've
I
learned a
have.
lot today
If you
from
go
you
on my,
guys.
I appreciate you for like that's my whole thing too. Like dealing with genuine people is the only thing